Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Fellowship in Essential Oils. We're diving into an essential oil that I feel kind of gets put in the corner, but I'm hoping we're going to bring it from the corner to the spotlight today. We're exploring one of the herb essential oils. We're looking at marjoram, Liz.
We are, and I have to say, this is one of my sister's favourite oils. Whatever you say, I don't feel well today. Some marjoram, you need some marjoram. But as you quite rightly say, it's not really one that I leap on very often either. Although I do like it a lot.
I must admit, when I was kind of preparing for this week's episode, I'm like, oh, good old marjoram. It's kind of like that trusty friend who you forget about kind of thing. Because it does, as a herb essential oil, they all kind of have a couple of uses. But marjoram is quite extensive in what it can be used for, can't it?
Yeah, right across the board. And what's interesting, I found about the way that I learnt about it. Often I'll look at an oil and I'll go, right, what are the chemicals constituents? Where do they take those? But because it's a Western plant that grows extensively here, there's so many herbals that in a way, in some ways, it's a bit like maybe rosemary or mint, that you're almost born knowing what it does because it grows
Mm.
around you. It's in all the herbals. If you get like any kind of little sort of basic herbal medicine book, it's going to tell you what marjoram does. So yeah, as you say, so many different uses right across the board.
Now, I'm sure you've got a multitude, but I'll talk about the couple where I really like it. First of all, it's in my kind of rotation of sleep oils. I love it in the diffuser at night. What I love about it is it's compared to, when we think about our other ones that are a bit more floral or a bit more woody kind of thing, or, vetiver and things like that. This is one of the very few, I guess, plant leaf oils that is really great for sleep. And I find it has this real nurturing kind of feeling about it. So when we need a bit of a hug, when I know it's sacred to a few different deities, and we'll explore that a little bit later. But it does, especially in that autumn and spring when we're kind of really connecting and humming with the earth. I find marjoram's a really nice, comforting one to pop in the bedroom diffuser. But then it's also renowned for muscle aches and pains and being really quite relaxing for stress as well. So it is a real comforting and supportive essential oil, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's got a profound effect on the central nervous system. And I agree about the sleep. In fact, as you know, my mum always has always made creams and lotions, and her insomnia cream is lavender and marjoram. And she always says that it's very good for putting the circadian rhythms right so that your body clock knows when it goes to sleep. I've never seen that written anywhere else, but that seems to be correct to me. And we talked about those ancient herbals, and if you look at like Gerard, Culpeper, Parkinson, all of them say the same thing, that it's an extremely good oil or plant herb to use for melancholy, that it helps to make people merry again, and lifts the spirits a lot. So that's nice to know. But of course, we also have the physical nerves that go right through the muscles and through the body. And again, it loosens the muscles, it loosens the tendons, it loosens the nerves. That's what I was going to say. So it helps to release tension. So I wouldn't necessarily use it for like aches and pains, which are like rheumatism, arthritis. I would use it for overuse. So if somebody's got tense shoulders from tension, or from overuse of muscles, like an athlete, or I call it ballet legs. So when I used to go back to ballet in September, after having 6 weeks off, it didn't hurt the next day. It hurt the day after that. I think suddenly you
Yes.
can't move at all. So those kind of things are really good ways to use marjoram as well. But also, of course, digestive. We use it in cooking because it will break down fats. It's a very important anti-diabetic herb, but also for just this idea of merriness, but also premenstrual problems. So there was a clinical trial that said that if a group of women were treated with clary sage, lavender, and marjoram, and after a month, the next month their pain was halved. Well, that is a lot, isn't it? And so if you think about like the reduction in pain because like of the cramping, I guess, but also the improvement on the mood, that one loses this melancholy thing. That's a big part of premenstrual syndrome as a whole. It's a very good gynecological oil, but plant generally. Both Gerard and Culpeper and Hildegard of Bingen all talk about how it is good for provender. And I was like, what on earth is provender? Provender is a word we need to bring back. It's such a lovely word, and it means the waste of the body.
Ah.
So if somebody, particularly urine, so if somebody's got urinary retention, maybe they've had an operation and they can't wee afterwards, or of course, women have fluid retention again, so that's another marjoram and gynecological link again. So this idea of release of fluids is big with marjoram too.
So only urination, or would it also be helpful in constipation as well?
Well, it is a bit laxative, but that wouldn't be the oil that I would choose. I'd go for something like rose, but it is more water. It's related to water. And if you think as well, we're going to leap forward. I'm leaping forward here just in associations, but we'll talk about how it's sacred to a number of deities. But in particular, Aphrodite is the easiest. Well, she's a water deity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The water associations are strong in the mythology.
Yeah. So I guess whenever the body in any essence has been doing a lot, overworked, and maybe holding on to that tension, it almost, I get the feeling that marjoram is kind of like the pin in the balloon, or the outlet valve that just lets everything release, let it out type of thing.
Yeah, and actually I was thinking about this morning when we did our masterclass last week. We had a conversation about grief. And somebody said, well, what about grief? And I said, rose. And the lady said, I don't like rose. And so I went to myrrh. But actually, when I'm thinking about it, marjoram would have been an excellent thing for me to have said, because when you look at sort of the Grecian medicine in particular, it's all in, you put pots of marjoram on graves. You wear sprigs of marjoram for grief. It's this lifting melancholy idea again as well, just like this, almost like a dissipation. And it is called Joy of the Mountains. That's what the Greeks call it. And actually, so I can't believe I got this far without rattling my cage with a pet hate. But one of my pet hates is when you read about marjoram on the internet, it will often be mixed up with oregano. And they'll say oregano is Joy of the Mountains. No, it's Oregano Majorana. It's definitely, there's nothing joyful about the feeling of about oregano, but there definitely is when you work with marjoram.
Oh, I fully agree with you there, definitely. Now, let's explore a little bit about Aphrodite. Marjoram is said to be sacred to Aphrodite, but also one of her sons, Hymen, who was the god of marriage. And I find this is a really great oil for helping people. It works really nicely with the heart chakra, and I love to use it for, I find people that don't like the aroma of it, they've got a commitment issue somewhere. Now, that may be in relationships, it may be uncertain and unwanting to commit to anything. And so their life is always in limbo in both their relationships and, choosing a job, choosing what they want to study at university, choosing what they want to do with their lives. This is the one that I find is really great for helping you to go, it's okay. Just, make a decision and let's see where you end up type of thing. So really good for tackling that. And yeah, anyone who's scared to commit in a relationship, I'd be working with marjoram over the heart chakra.
What was his name?
Hymen.
I've never
Hymen.
heard of them before.
Ah,
Very,
yeah.
very interesting. Yeah, and it's said, as you say, sacred to Aphrodite, and it's believed that that is because she was continuously in mourning for Adonis, so she always needed it. But it spoke earlier about how it's associated with water deities. In Egypt, it's the personification of Sobek. So Sobek is the crocodile god, and he is the protector of the fertility of the Nile. And I love this idea that that a crocodile protects the Nile. You know, it's like your brain goes, oh, it's the opposite way round to anything I've ever thought of, and it makes more sense too. But also, so this is an important aspect of marjoram. If you think about how crocodiles, or maybe you don't know, but crocodiles are extremely shag nasty, and they are prolific procreators, and so there are many crocodiles all of the time. And marjoram does have a fertility aspect, but it's the opposite to what you think. So it's what's called an aphrodisiac. So not it is an aphrodisiac. An aphrodisiac means it puts you off it. And so I love the idea that it's sacred to Sobek, and hopefully maybe we can control the crocodiles because there's so many of them. So I thought that's really interesting. So if it's I can't remember where I read it. But used in monasteries to help monks with celibacy and nuns with celibacy in convents. So this idea is if sometimes you have like somebody who has unbalanced, one person doesn't want to have sex, the other person really does, then and that causes problems, then marjoram can be really helpful with that. It really drops libido right down.
And I guess, with what I was saying before about helping with commitment and kind of focusing on bringing people onto that path so that there is a strengthening commitment. I think I'm used to where, the marjoram was used in some marriage ceremonies for that symbolism of commitment as well. So really powerful. Yeah. Now, I must admit, when I smell marjoram, it takes me back to my very early days with essential oils. So how I started was with a magazine subscription where each fortnight I'd get, it was for, next to nothing money. You'd get a little magazine and each fortnight a different essential oil would arrive. And I do question the quality and the purity of some of them because I think we got some pretty expensive essential oils for $5. So the marjoram in that collection, though, smells exactly like the marjorams I work with these days. So I guess it is a cheap essential oil to produce. And it always takes me back to those memories of that connection to the earth and Mother Earth starting to unveil her secrets through the essential oils, through, the crystals that I was working with and all that magic as well. So it has this real homely and connection to Mother Earth kind of aroma to it, which is quite, coincidental because in later years, I realized that another deity that marjoram is sacred to is Gaia herself, Mother Earth. And so I find it's a really beautiful oil for helping us come back to basics, come back to home, but not our house, but more so the home of Mother Earth as well.
I love that. And as a bee mistress, I should also comment on how much bees love marjoram. When you got growing in the garden, you just have trillions of honeybees all over. So considering that in Greece it covered the mountains, and so therefore the mountains were covered in bees, so therefore gave this food of the gods honey. You can see how everybody got very excited when the marjoram started to blossom. It really is a lovely, generous oil.
It is very much. Now, you mentioned different deities. I've mentioned Hymen and Aphrodite. You brought up Sobek. We've talked about Gaia. Is there any others that are sacred to as well that you know of?
I'm sure there's probably Indian deities, but I didn't look them up.
Yeah. So I find it's really great for the heart chakra. What about yourself? Where would you place marjoram?
Heart, but also nervous system. So that's not heart chakra. So I'm going to say brow chakra as well.
Okay. Yeah, got you. Yeah, that makes sense. Yep. And astrologically?
Well, so again, that's informed by what Culpeper says. He tells us that it's Venus and Mercury, which is the same, isn't it? Heart chakra, brow chakra.
Yep, I would definitely place it with Venus as well, type of thing. So yeah, I think it's an oil that, with that fact that, there are lots of different oils that are great for, especially I think at night, using marjoram at night. There's different things that are great for muscle relief, but a lot of them can be a little bit stimulating on the body. Whereas, this is a nice kind of comforting one at the end of the night. Plus, it's going to help with the sleep as well. So I think that when we've just had one of those days, marjoram is that hug that we need, type of thing.
Yeah, it's lovely in the bath, fantastic in massage. Um, if you're using it in massage, just blending it with something like clary sage has so many different aspects. So, like clary sage is mind and emotions, so is marjoram, but also gynecological. So that antispasmodic in the nerves, in the muscles, in the period pains. So it's definitely got like friends that come up over and over again. So like clary sage, lavender, rosemary. It's almost like just hauls them along with it. Really, always
Yeah.
end up with the same ones.
And I guess with such a comforting oil, and an oil that does help us on that emotional level to commit and to connect with others, marjoram is willing to connect and commit to other essential oils rather than just stand on its own.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Now, so a simple essential oil, but a one that has a multitude of uses, and it's worth kind of digging it out and using it from time to time, because I think we do forget about it.
Yeah, and also to comment on how safe it is to use. Maximum dilution is 3%. You'd only use 1% on children, but you can use it on children. If you've got somebody, you hit the nail on the head right at the beginning. It's like a big hug. If you've got somebody who's very upset, marjoram's helpful.
So we'd love to know. Please let us know in the comments what you think of marjoram, or how you like to use it as well. And if we opened up any questions, you're like, oh, what about this for marjoram? Remember, the time to ask us is our masterclass. The next one's coming up on the 21st of March. You can tune in live, or you can put your questions in and watch the replay afterwards as well. All the details for that will be down below. Anything we've missed about marjoram, Liz?
I don't think so. I'm going to go and get some myself. I feel like I could use it a lot today.
Sounds like a good idea. I think I might too. Thank you very much for joining us for Fellowship in Essential Oils. We'll see you next week when we dive into another amazing gift from Mother Earth.
See you.